In this lecture, we're going to talk about matter in the unit of atom. Basically, we're going to talk about how atoms are joined to make elements, molecules, and compounds. So, basically, chemistry is a study of matter. We just say that in chemistry we just study about the composition, properties and detail about the matter's structure. So there are different styles of matter. The first style is element. Element is composed of atoms which are physically joined. Or we can say that it just not matched up with another atom, it just joins to make an element. Now, how we can represent a physically joined atom? We can represent it by this form. By making dots in the place of a line, like we just show that Na is bounded with Cl. Now, to show a physically joined atom, we will just write it like this way. Now, we can say that it's a physically joined atom. Now, to form an element, it's compulsory to have like atoms. Now, what are like atoms? We can say that like atoms are just same types of atom, like F, then again F, then again F. That's a non-metallic element. Now, by combining these alike elements, we will got an element. Now here is another example, sodium, and sodium. As we know, sodium is a metal, like it's a metal. So we can say that any element that has IUM at the end will show the metals. So we can say that it's an element. Now we've got 3 points that elements are physically joined. It can be represented in a dot form and it just have like atoms. Now the fourth point is that what is the smallest unit of element? Now what will be? As we are talking about the atoms, element is made up of atoms. So the smallest unit will be the atom, because we know that element does not have any type of bonding. It is just founded, it's are naturally made. Okay, so as we know, if we are talking about hydrogen element, we will just say it has 1 proton, 0 neutron and a surrounding of electrons. Now it's an element, but it does not have any bondings or anything. It's just made up of an atom. So the smallest unit will be atom. Now second point is molecule. Molecules are also made up of atom, but there's a huge difference between elements and molecule. Now the molecule is chemically bonded. It is chemically bonded. It's just form a covalent bond between two atoms Like we know that covalent bond is just mutual sharing of an electron. So a molecule is chemically bonded atom. Now there are two types of molecule. A molecule with same atom and different atom. Now a molecule is formed only by the um how where should I write it? um okay. Now how molecules are formed? It is formed by adding a non-metallic atom to a non-metallic atom. Like if we have two non-metallic atoms and they are chemically bonded, we can say that it's a molecule. So let's go with the same one. Now if hydrogen are bonded, like two atoms of a hydrogen is bonded, it's an element. But it has same type of element, like it's two hydrogen that are chemically bonded to make a molecule. So these alike type of atom is joined to make a molecular element. Like we can memorize it by just saying that it's molecule because it has two non-atom, and its element because it has a like atoms. So we can memorize it like that way. It's a molecular element, because it has non-metals, and it is molecular because it has like. So in the second type, it's a common type basically. In this type, we can say that H2O. Now hydrogen is non-metallic, oxygen is non-metallic, but these both atoms are chemically bonded to make a molecule. So we can say that these different types of atoms are chemically bonded to make a molecule. So it's called a molecular compound. Now that's a huge difference. We will talk it later that how compounds are formed, but I'm just telling a little bit about it, that a compound is formed by a metal plus non-metal, so it is called it's just called compound, but it is molecular because it is chemically bonded and it has covalent bond. Now, the third point is that what's the smallest unit? And the element, we've talked about that smallest unit is atom, because element is basically made up of atom. So what's the smallest unit here? The smallest unit is molecule. Now why the smallest unit is molecule? Because in a molecular element or in a molecular compound, two atoms are just combined by a covalent bond. Like I'm just making it, just consider as a atom. It's not a real atom, but it is covalent. It just have a covalent bond. So the smallest particle will always be the molecule, because it has a chemically bonded atoms. So that's the smallest unit of the molecule. So let's talk about the compound. Now Again, compound is made up of atom, but in this compound, it is also chemically bonded. But in this compound, we have ionic bond. It is made by ionic bond. Now there's a minor difference between this formula, that basically compound is made by adding a metal with a non-metal. Oh, it's alright. Okay, now let's talk about an example. Now the example is NaCl. Now here Na sodium is a metal and chloride is a non-metal. They are just bonded, chemically bonded, and it gives a compound because Na and Cl has an ionic bond between them. So another example is CuSO4. Now these are also, this is copper, this is sulfur, and this is oxygen. It has ionic bond between it, and they just form a compound. Now you should add the last point. I think I should write it here. Now the smallest unit is, now in the molecule we have smallest unit molecule, and the element we have smallest unit atom. But what's the smallest unit in the compound? Now the smallest unit is compound is formula unit. Now why the smallest unit is formula unit? Because we know that two atoms are chemically bonded. So in the formula, the unit of formula will be the unit of the compound. Now there's a term which is widely used in the chemistry, and that term is mixture. We have talked about in the 9th class or at the metric class that a compound is a mixture of chemically bonded atoms, and mixture is of physically bonded atoms. And in further we just talk about the heterogeneous, homogeneous. That's a different topic. But now I'm gonna present a different theory about it, that a mixture is made up of matter. Now what type of matter? Compound, molecules, and elements. Now by the mixture, or by joining these three things, we just got a mixture. Now mixture, first point will be that mixture is physically joined. We can take an example of that, e.g. Na, that is sodium, and that is a metallic. Now we have got H2O, and that's basically a molecular compound. Now by joining these two things, what we got is a mixture, because we're gonna just mix a metallic with a compound. So what we will got is a mixture. Now there's another common example of that is H2O plus O2. Now O2 is same atoms, and it's a molecular element. It is just found in the rivers and sea where the fishes just use O2 in the water to breathe. So it's also a mixture. Oxygen is non-metallic and this is a molecular compound. By mixing these two things, what we got is mixture. Now we're going to talk about the smallest particle. Now, what should be the smallest particle? As we know, by combining these two things, we got the mixture. So the answer of that will be any of the three. Like in this condition, we have a metallic and a compound. The smallest particle of a compound is molecule, and we can say that it's a metallic, so we can say that the smallest particle will be molecule. And in this condition, we can say that O2 is a molecular element, so we can say that in this condition the smallest particle is also molecule. So in this way we can just distinguish between these four terms. Now there are some bullet points. Now I have given a theory of IUM, that any element that has IUM at the end will be the metals. Now some of the metals or non-metal just don't follow this theory. I gonna list these at elements. Now let's see what we got in the metals or in the non-metals. Okay, now in the metals, the first one is cobalt, CO. Now cobalt does not have IUM at the end, but it's a metal, so it does not follow the IUM theory. The next one is Mg, manganese, and fourth one is zinc. Fifth one is nickel. I've just write the name. I should write the symbol. Okay. Now these are the four types. But in non-metal, the only element that does not follow this theory is helium. It has IUM at the end, but it's a non-metal. So some type of the element does not follow the IUM theory, and you should memorize these elements.